Alright guys, welcome to my Upset Central bracket predictions, and today, as the name announces, I'm going full upset heavy. I mean, this is something I always do along with my main bracket, just because I have so many upsets that I really want to see, that I really want to pick, but I just can't pick. So, let's start off. I don't see CSB Duke. Ohio State versus TCU, none of these would really be an upset. I got Ohio State there. Northern Iowa versus St. John's, this is actually an upset I have in my bracket. Most people are choosing St. John's, but Northern Iowa has just been a great team. Recently, they're playing as one of the best teams in college basketball, and I like the way the play style goes against St. John's. Cal Baptist is another choice here. Dominique Daniels can destroy Kansas, and I completely believe that he will, and I think he'll announce himself to the world. And honestly, I'm really hoping that he gets another year of eligibility so he can go to Florida State, even though he probably wouldn't get him. Alright, South Florida. Most people have that. Honestly, it might be more of an upset at Louisville, but we'll stick with South Florida. Michigan State versus North Dakota State. I like North Dakota State, but I really don't see Tom Dennis losing. That's why I might choose that here. UCLA versus UCF. That's not too crazy, I'm going to stick with UCLA. And now here's one of my first big disattachments to my normal bracket. Give me Furman. Furman, over the last couple of weeks, has been playing like a top 13 seed in my opinion. They have been injured all year, and that's the reason why they're so far down. And they can certainly be the team that pulls off a 15-2 upset this year, especially because, in my opinion, it's the weak 15 class, outside of maybe Tennessee State. Then we're moving down to the South region. Yeah, I'm sorry, Prairie View and Lehigh. Actually, you know what? If Lehigh wins, give me Lehigh. Because I think Lehigh can do it again, and plus I just hate Florida, so that's another thing. Alright, and next I have Clemson versus Iowa. This is actually a small upset for me because I usually pick Iowa in the bracket, but I actually like Clemson here. Vanderbilt versus McNeese. I honestly don't see McNeese winning this game. I don't know why I've never felt this strong against 12 seed. I just really don't like McNeese this year, especially against this Vanderbilt team, as a team that's really good against turnovers. McNeese heavily leans on getting turnovers, so I just don't see this happening. I do see Troy beating Nebraska. I really hope this doesn't happen because I really like Nebraska, but I got Troy right there. VCU versus North Carolina, maybe VCU. And then another one of my favorites that I actually do have picked in my bracket, Penn. I have a couple of rules when picking my trends. I always need 12 over 5, I always need 13 over 4, and I always pick, Ivy League schools. You always got to pick an Ivy League school, because they're the most consistent teams in the bracket, and I just don't like Illinois. And St. Mary's versus Texas A&M, St. Mary's. And then Houston, Idaho, I really don't see Houston losing that one. Now going back up, Arizona versus Long Island. I love fins up. Arizona's not losing that game. Then we have Villanova versus Utah State. Utah State, Villanova, they're just not that great. They're just mediocre, middle of the pack team. Wisconsin over High Point. High Point really needs things to go right as they play a similar style, just Wisconsin's way more consistent with it, so they would really need a hit game, but they can certainly do this. Arkansas versus Hawaii. Arkansas's too good. I'm sorry, Arkansas's one of my favorite teams in this tournament. Texas versus NC State. Texas/NC State versus BYU. I don't see NC State beating BYU, but I could see Texas here. And they're playing right now as I speak. Currently, Texas is up 3-2. So I'll just stick with BYU right now. Then you have Gonzaga versus Kennesaw State. Give me Gonzaga. Gonzaga hasn't lost since like 2008 in the first round. I don't see that happening this season. Miami versus Missouri. You'll never catch me picking Miami in this type of situation. Purdue versus Queens. Queens is a really good team. I want them to be a 14 seed, but I got Purdue here. Michigan is not getting beat by Howard. Georgia versus St. Louis. Small upset St. Louis here. Texas Tech versus Akron. So I will pick Akron, but the more I think about it, the less I like this matchup. For Akron, I really do think Texas Tech has this game. Alabama versus Hofstra. I would have Hofstra favored in this game. Alabama's number 2 scorer's out. I can't remember his name right now, top of my head, but he's out. Hofstra and Speedy Claxton do some great work with this program. I really think we'll go far. Then Tennessee versus Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio can certainly get this done if they prove that they're a really good team. Virginia versus Wright State. I don't like Wright State. There's no way in that game. Kentucky versus Santa Clara. Small upset Santa Clara, though I do have that in my bracket. Iowa State versus Tennessee State. Iowa State can win that game. Or, sorry, Tennessee State can win that game. Tennessee State, they're really great in almost every metric. Let me see if I can pull that. Every metric. Excellent. And as you can see, they're excellent stats. Good forward. Aaron Nkrumah has been a name I've been hearing a lot, though Mombilovich, and I'm going to give you all of it. I have ISU going very far, but they're a very hit-or-miss team. So my bracket can be busted almost instantly, and that's scary for me. But I'm going to hold out with them here. Alright, moving on. Duke versus Ohio State. Ohio State win that. Cal Baptist. I've already explained why I like Cal Baptist and Dominique Daniels. I think he can be like the Doug Eater or the DJ Prince of this tournament. They got South Florida versus Michigan State. South Florida is built to beat a team like this, so I really do think they can pull this off. UCLA versus Furman. Furman. No explanation needed. I just like Furman. They're a really good team. I also live near them, so I have a little bit of bias. Prairie View versus Lehigh. I don't see them getting past the first round. Clemson's too consistent. Like, they might not beat the top teams, but they're not going to lose the bottom. They got Vanderbilt versus Troy. And Vanderbilt's just so good right now. Give me Vanderbilt. I think Troy can certainly get past Nebraska, but I think Vanderbilt's just playing at way too high level basketball. Pinching in this game, I don't think I have them picked to win this game, but I could be wrong. And then there's St. Mary's versus Houston. Or St. Mary's going this game. It'll be a slug out, but they can certainly win this game. Right, Santa Clara versus Tennessee State. I don't see Tennessee State getting past Santa Clara here. Santa Clara's a little bit too consistent. And then you have, sorry, Miami of Ohio slash SMU. I'm just going to assume it's Miami of Ohio. Like Virginia, I don't see anything against Virginia. Virginia's too consistent. Then you got Akron and Hofstra. Hofstra wins this game. Akron again. They're very good. I'm just not in love. And then St. Louis versus Michigan. I really don't see St. Louis pulling off an upset there. Purdue versus Missouri. I mean Purdue. Even though it is really home game for Missouri, I still think Purdue's better, and plus they're still decently close to them. Then you got BYU versus Gonzaga. BYU pulls that one off. High Point, Arkansas. Arkansas is just so good. I'm sorry. Darius Acuff. It's hard for me to pick against him. It really is. I don't have them winning my bracket, which you shouldn't be saying a lot, but it's hard to pick against him. And then Arizona versus Utah State. Utah State's good. Utah State's a very good team. They can certainly pull off. And here, Ohio State versus Cal Baptist. Oh my goodness. I think Dominic Daniels can get up to the Elite Eight, but I'm not sure if I haven't passed this. And South Florida versus Furman. I think I'm just South Florida. We've gotten to the point where I'm less going for upsets, just who would win with a little hint of upsets. So that's what I'm going with. But Furman can certainly win that game. Clemson versus Vanderbilt. Clemson, I just don't believe they can beat anyone too good. That's my theory. And then Penn versus St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's can beat Penn. Or will beat Penn if that matchup comes together. Virginia versus Santa Clara. Oh my goodness. Santa Clara is a very good team. They can certainly win this game. And then Michigan's just not losing to any of these teams. I'm sorry. They just won't. They got a very good draw, obviously. And then here, Utah State versus Arkansas. Go Arkansas. Again, Arkansas is just so good. And then I got BYU over Purdue. Purdue I don't trust enough. So, Cal Baptist versus South Florida. I'm going to take South Florida. Just a really good team, well built. And now, Vanderbilt versus St. Mary's. Vanderbilt moves on. Simple for this one, I don't want one seed in my Final Four, so give me Santa Clara. And then give me BYU. That's a good team. Alright, so this is the Final Four of Upset Central. These are all like my favorite teams in this bracket. And starting off with South Florida versus Vanderbilt. I got Vanderbilt here. I don't see South Florida winning that game. And BYU versus Santa Clara. I believe these two used to be in the same conference. And I got Santa Clara here. But Vanderbilt comes out on top in my Upset Central. And we will go with a final total of 100. Let's go 32. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.